Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Chapter 5, verse 6 of the Gospel of Matthew, written primarily to the Jews, or for a Jewish audience, put it that way. And this is, Jesus is sharing about this lifestyle, this new lifestyle that is in his kingdom. And of course, it meant some adjustment, some change, kind of committing to some direction that would fit into his eternal purposes and strategies. So it's an invitation, it's some direction and some instruction, some wisdom, some insight. So very familiar passage, and you forgive me for the topic, since we're just coming out of eat day. so so there'll be some secondary benefits to the message today. But Matthew 5:6, blessed, or that word interpreted happy, are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. My mom wants to say the King James Version, after righteousness. Blessed or happy, fulfilled, rich are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they'll be filled. There is a response from heaven when we desire righteousness, when we have an appetite for what is right. And speaking of appetites, there's so much that can be said about appetites where Scripture is concerned, where our living in God is concerned, and walking this road of divine partnership with Him. The appetites are something that we have to have control over. And sometimes we just need to be made aware of the fact that there are appetites that we have that we need to check, and we need to do something about it. And in the natural sense, which I'll deal with this using natural hunger and natural thirsting today, I mean, there is the need to understand your appetites and then to manage and lead with the right appetite. So Jesus is saying here that, if you want to be happy, blessed people are people who hunger and thirst or have the right appetite. They desire the right things. And he said, when you do, it triggers a response from heaven, and you become filled. You become filled. So you have the benefit of receiving the thing that you desire. The question I had with this one, I never had this question with this text, because I just go with it as it is read. And typically, of course, when we read through, we just go all the way through all of these. But my immediate thought was, well, what if you're not hungry? Or what if you're not thirsty? And in considering that, I thought about people that I know who are not necessarily hungry for the things of God. They're not hungry. They don't have an appetite for rightness. And these are people who could be involved in the church, who are participants, who are there, who are regular, who are constant, but yet lack that hunger or that thirst. And then I begin to think of things that we consume that will suppress the appetite. I know if I get coffee, I don't know how all of this works. Some of you dietary pros could probably speak to it a little more. But if I drink coffee, it kind of curbs the appetite. Okay. We hear it said of children that we shouldn't be giving. Don't be giving them babies a lot of sugar. They won't eat their food. But it appears that sugar actually increases the appetite, just not for the right thing. So what if you're not hungry? So if you're not hungry, if you're not thirsty, then we may need to look into that and ask of ourselves in that condition, why aren't we hungry? What might we be ingesting that's suppressing our appetite, our desire, our longing, our craving for what is right? And I think that's a good examination. That could be a whole other message, and it's not the message for the day, but it was a question I thought I would at least raise to prompt that in your thinking, and maybe, in your own time and time of prayer and meditation, you can develop that. Why might I not be hungry for what is right? So here, in context in Matthew 5, it speaks of one, interest; two, pressing desire. Okay, one, interest in it; second, pressing desire. So happy are the people who are interested in what is right and have a pressing desire to obtain it. These are fulfilled people. I want to be on that side of the fence, right? Because as you know, hunger is interesting. It'll wake you up in the morning, particularly if you weren't satisfied from the night meal, or if you ate too early and then you went to bed and have anything maybe to nibble on. You can wake up. I mean, it'll wake you up in the morning. It'll send you on a scavenger hunt in the middle of the night. Let the church say amen. There's one set of lights over the island here in the kitchen at our house, and we have everything set to go dark after a certain hour. So when I get that hankering, which doesn't happen often, in defense of myself, that's the light that I hit and bring it up just a little low enough, just low enough to be able to see into the snack box or the refrigerator. That's what hunger will do to you, though. It'll send you on a scavenger hunt. And here's the problem, though. It's non-discriminating, which means whatever is available is going to get consumed. But what we want is we want to be able to have an appetite that is controlled, and you have to aid in that. One of the things I'm a big proponent of, I try to follow it. I have a person in the house that tends to like to bring potato chips anyway, and then of course there's not going to just be one bag. There's going to be two bags. You got the regular, and then you have the barbecue potato chip. But I'll leave the person. I'll leave them as an unknown. But if it's not there, then I don't have access. And if I don't have access, then I'll do the right thing. Okay, so, but hunger is interesting. It's not discriminating. Whatever's available is what it's going to take down. And we don't always hunger and thirst for the right things anyway, just generally speaking. And again, y'all forgive me because I'm using food because that's what was mentioned. It was mentioned hunger, and of course hunger and thirst after righteousness or for righteousness. But just using the food as an illustration, we don't always hunger or thirst for what is right. Some of us don't like to drink water. We prefer sugary drinks. We like the sodas. Y'all just hold on. Just forgive me. I just got to roll this out. But we should be drinking water. The body needs water. And so we have to gain control of our appetites, and we have to be focused, and we should not be drinking sweet tea and other things, the Cokes and the soft drinks that's loaded with sugar, and it's so much sugar. Anyway, we don't always hunger and thirst for the right things, right? We need to be eating more vegetables, but we prefer more potatoes. And by the way, one of the things that I do if I'm on my game is if I have a plate and it has vegetables, I go vegetable first, then meat. Vegetables first, try to fill up on the vegetables. We should be having more fiber. We like carbs. We should be having prepared meals, ideally, where we know exactly what's going in, but there's something about fast foods that it's fast. It's fast, it's easy, but it's also working against us. Jesus said, those who hunger and thirst, who have an appetite, who have an interest and a craving for the right stuff, are the people who are happy, complete. And so we apply this to our natural diets. If you want to be healthy, you got to make these changes, you got to do these things. And back to sugar. Sugar's ugly. I just started doing some work on that because that's one of the things that I have to focus on pulling back from. And by the way, everything that's sugary ain't sweet. That's interesting too. But it could cause so much physical damage. So many health issues come out of the consumption of sugar. So, learning to and making a decision to hunger after the right thing. Sometimes meaning you have to starve yourself of some stuff. And I found that from an appetite standpoint, if you starve it out long enough, you'll no longer desire it in the same way. That craving kind of subsides. And in fact, if you've ever gone where you press down the consumption of sugar, when you do taste something sugary, it's like, oh my God, this is disgusting. Salt the same way. The two addictions, the two American addictions, sugar and salt. So we have to make some decisions about what we're consuming. And Jesus says the best thing you can do is decide to go after what is right, naturally and spiritually. But we don't always naturally hunger or thirst for the right things. It's not natural. I mean, particularly in the world that we live in. And remember that this world that we live in, all of these things that work against us is a part of this world system. That's a reality and the truth. And so we have to work with our physical bodies in the same way that we work with our spiritual bodies. And of course, this is speaking of both the natural and the spiritual. So the fact that we don't always hunger and thirst for the right things, and I think this text is speaking to this. The first thing is you have to be informed, being informed about these things. Some of these things we know, some of these things we don't know. I found out there are times that there are things we don't want to know because we know to know means we have to make a decision, and that decision is turning away from that that's working against us, turning toward that works in our favor. And these are blessed people. These are blessed people who know how to do that. And so we need information, number one, and the scripture gives us information about what it looks like to live in righteousness, to pursue what is right. Yeah. And then you need focus. There has to be a determination, a strategy, a plan, an emphasis, reminders. Something I was reading this morning, and it reminded me of some really good stuff. And I thought, ooh, that's good. I need to put that somewhere in front of me as a reminder, you know. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves of the benefits of eating right, naturally and spiritually. I mean, as the preacher, I'm always pushing that your way, and all of us who speak and share and teaching in this community, we're always saying, hey, you could do better, you should do better. Here's a way. We even give practical steps and testimony and encouragement to walk after what is right. But we don't always have the structure, the things in place in our own space to remind us we need that. We need that for ourselves. And then we need it as a community so that when we're engaging one another, we're speaking to one another, we're sharing life together, it doesn't have to be in a condemning or confrontational way. But sometimes it's just living it out loud, where you're walking in a way that others see and say, wow, okay, I like that. And we here in our home, man, we haven't stocked soda or pop for probably 20, 25 years. Every now and then we're bringing in, if we're going to have guests, we're going to entertain, and we know people, they enjoy it. I might enjoy a Pepsi twice a year. That's typically my rhythm, twice a year. But there are things that you have to do. You have to do to be focused, to be vigilant, to remain on track with what you're trying to do here. So because it's not natural, you have to put some intention into it. You have to be deliberate in how you plan to control your appetite, or let's put it this way, direct your appetite to what is right. So you got information, you got focus, and you got self-control or discipline. Self-control or discipline. That's on you. Okay, so nobody can force you, but I'll tell you something, the information helps. When you understand just how much sugar impacts the body, I mean, you could just do that research, right? If you could understand the consumption of certain things, how it impacts you spiritually, I can just tell you one, the news, what it will do up here and what it will stir. And then when you talk about some of the issues that we're dealing with today, it's much of this information is designed to divide us. It's designed to separate. It's designed to create these tensions, these unhealthy tensions. So you have to be careful what you're consuming, how you consume it, how frequently you consume it, and where you put it. So you receive information. There needs to be a filter. That's that rightness filter that determines, where you're going to place stuff, how you're going to treat it, how you're going to respond to it. It's not easy because we're in this system, we're in this world, we're always being bombarded, right? But information. So that's why you need more word. You have to eat the word, eat the word, eat the word. And I'm so blessed, man. I'll say it over one more time. I love the fact that at least 6 to 7 days a week in this church, you can eat healthily. You can consume the kind of truth and information that's going to help to counter every appetite that works against you. You can come to a place of having a normal appetite to pursue right things, righteousness, to eat it and to drink it. You can do that through this community. And I'm grateful. So he that possesses the information and the focus and the self-control, that person will be happy. I want you to be that happy person. And then of course happy, being blessed. It starts with a want to do right, a desire to do right, that want to. Yeah. And then you know the difference as you take in the information. You know the difference, and you're clear on that, and you understand the value of consuming what is right. That's a big one. That's a big one, naturally and spiritually. When you know what certain foods do, and I love people who know this stuff. Who's that? Fernita. Fernita, she'll tell you what's in that food. Miss Gloria, she's always doing her work on it. Now she's on the gluten thing. She said, pay attention. Some of you might be experiencing some crazy stuff, and it's gluten. Beverly is also one that is keen on nutrition and diet. We work on it, right? Understand the value of consuming what is right and not consuming what is wrong, naturally and spiritually. And then possess that discipline to do the right thing. Be blessed, be happy. Blessed are you good folk who hunger and thirst after rightness. Bless you all.